girlies! Today we are going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions. We'll talk about subtracting and adding fractions when they have the same denominator and then when they have different denominators. All right, so before we do some examples, I figured we would start off with some rules here, right? Start off with some rules. I like to write them down, but I think you guys really learn best by actually doing problems together. So the first rule that I want you guys to do is whenever we are adding and subtracting fractions, we want to change mixed numbers. I'm going to abbreviate numbers. You can type out numbers if you want. To improper fractions. Okay. So we know mixed numbers look something like this, and improper fractions look something like this, where a numerator is bigger than the denominator. We are going to talk about how to change mixed numbers to improper fractions a little bit later in this lesson. So for now, just write that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Number 2, the second rule is to find the least common denominator, LCD. Again, we will talk about what that is and how to find that in a little bit. We do examples here, so just hang tight. Write these down for now. Step 3, I want you to rewrite fractions. All right, so we'll rewrite our fractions. Four, is to add or subtract numerators, which is the top of a fraction, and keep denominators, which is the bottom of a fraction. So again, we're going to go over all of these rules in 1 minute here. Let me just get you the rules, but we're going to show you with examples, and that will be really, I think, how you guys will learn this. And then the last step is just simplify if needed. Sometimes you'll need to, sometimes you won't. But let's make sure we do if we have to. Okay? So take a second, make sure you get all these rules down. I know I kind of wrote them quickly. Feel free to pause the video if you need to make sure you get the rules down. All right, let's jump down to some examples here. So add or subtract the following fractions. So we can only add or subtract fractions when they have the same denominator, the same bottom numbers. When they have different bottom numbers or denominators, that's when things get a little bit tricky, but not too bad. So step 1, you change any mixed numbers to improper fractions. These are not mixed numbers, so we don't have to do step 1. Step 2 would be to find the least common denominator. Well, lucky us, it's already set, 10. They already have common denominators. So we can skip the, step 3 because we don't have to rewrite the fractions. We can do step 4, which in this case we'll add our numerators. So 1 plus 3 is 4. And keep the denominators. When they are the same, you keep them. And then simplify if needed. Well, in this case, it is needed because both of these can be divided by 2, which leaves us with 2/5. All right, so that was a pretty easy one. Let's do another quick easy one, then we'll get into some more challenging ones here. Step 1, Rewrite any mixed numbers as improper fractions. Well, we don't have any mixed numbers here, so easy. Step 2, find the least common denominator. Well, lucky us, it already has common denominators, so we can skip 2 and 3. 4, add or subtract numerators. Keep the denominators. So 7 minus 3 is 4. 20s we keep. And simplify if needed. Well, both of these can be divided by 4, which leaves us with 1/5. All right, number 3, we do have mixed numbers here, so we have to write them as improper fractions. Now let's review how to do that. So 2 3/8. To write this as an improper fraction, if you remember this little trick here, you multiply and then add. So 8 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19. And you leave that over the denominator of the fraction, so 19/8. So 2 3/8 will become 19/8. 4 1/8, I'm just going to jump over here so you have a little bit more room. Again, multiply, add. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 1 is 33. Leave it over the denominator, which is 8. So 4 1/8 becomes 33/8. Okay, then we find the LCD, but lucky us, they already have common denominator, so we can skip step 2 and step 3. Step 4, you add numerators, keep the denominator, so that will stay as an 8. And 19 plus 33 is 52. Now, in this case, I did not say leave it as an improper fraction or leave it as a mixed number. So in this case, I will take either, but I do just want to remind you guys how to change improper fractions to mixed numbers. So let's do 52/8. That means we divide 8 into 52. So 8 can go into 52 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. When you subtract them, you get a remainder of 4. Now 8 can't go into 4, so we leave it as 4/8. You take your what's left over and write it by the number on the outside. And 4/8, if you want to simplify, can be written as 1/2. So 6 1/2. Okay. So you can either leave it as 52/8 or 6 1/2. I didn't say one or the other, so I'll take either. All right, number 4. Change any mixed numbers into improper fractions. Luckily, we don't have that issue here. Then we have to find the LCD, the smallest number that both 4 and 8 can go into. In this case, it is 8. So our goal is to get common denominators. Well, since the 7/8 already has a denominator of 8, we can just leave it. But the 4, we need it to have a denominator of 8. So what do we multiply 4 by to get 8? 2. So let's multiply the tops and bottom of this fraction by 2. You may have learned this a different way. This is the way I do it. If you have another little trick, I would love to hear it on Thursday. So 7/8 plus 3 times 2, which is 6, over 4 times 2, which is 8. That's what I mean by rewrite your fractions. Now we can just add numerators. 7 plus 6 is 13 over 8. Let's leave it as an improper fraction for now, right? That way we can just kind of move through these problems. All right, number 5, write any mixed mixed numbers as improper fractions. We don't have that issue, so number 2, find the LCD. The least common denominator, the smallest number that your denominators can both go into. So the smallest number that 10 and 15 can both go into, which is 30. So now to rewrite the fractions, we say to ourselves, what times 10 can give me 30? It's 3. And 15 times what is 30? That's 2. So now let's rewrite our fractions. 3 times 3 is 9 over 30 minus 2 times 11, which is 22 over 30. All right, so we do 9 minus 22. This is a quick integer problem. Negative 13. Again, opposite signs, so you subtract them and take the sign of the larger. Over 30. And we'll leave it there. Okay, the next one, write any mixed numbers as improper fractions. We don't have that issue, so we can jump to step 2. Find the LCD. So the smallest number that our denominators can go into. Smallest number that 9 and 18 both go into is 18. Oops. So now rewrite the fractions. Well, 2 times 9 would give me 18. So 2 times 2 is 4 over 18 minus negative 15 over 18. That's the rewrite part. Now we keep our denominator. And if you remember this trick, 2 negatives actually make a positive. So 4 plus 15 is actually 19. Let's practice making 19 18ths into a mixed number. So you take your bottom number and divide it into your top number. 18 goes into 19 once. 1 times 18 is 18, leaving us with 1 left over, but 18 can't go into 1. So we leave it as 1 over what's on the outside, 18. So we can write that as 19 18ths or 1 and 1 18th. Again, I'll tell you on a test or quiz, give me the improper fraction or give me the mixed number. But in this case, if I don't say, well, then you give me whatever you want to give me. Mixed number, improper fraction, whatever. Okay, let's jump to the next page here. Oh, not that. And not that. All right, here. Step 1, change any mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 2 and 3/8. Again, multiply, then add. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19. So it's negative 19 over 8 minus 1 and 3/4. Multiply, then add. 4 times 1, 4, plus 3 is 7, 7/8. So now we keep our denominator, and our top is negative 19 minus 7. So same signs, really just adding them and keep the sign. So negative 26 over 8. Let's leave that as the improper fraction now so we can keep moving through these examples. All right, 8. Negative 5 6 plus 1 and 2/9. So step 1, change any mixed numbers into an improper fraction. So I'm just going to rewrite this as negative 5 6 plus 9 times 1. 9 plus 2 is 11. Find the LCD, so the smallest number they both go into is 18. Let's rewrite it. Well, 6 times 3 is 18, so top and bottom get multiplied by 3. Here, 2 times 9 gives me 18, so top and bottom by 2. Now, let's do all of our multiplication now. We'll rewrite our fractions. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15 over 18, plus 11 times 2 over 18. Keep the denominator. Let's add our numerator. So 22 plus negative 15 is opposite signs, so you subtract them and take the sign larger. So we know it's going to be positive 7. So 7 over 18. Oops. All right. Let's do one more here. We'll do number 9. Okay, and we can skip 10. Sorry about that. I was just thinking about that. So change, excuse me, your mixed numbers to improper fractions. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So 13, negative 13 fourths, plus negative 1/2. Then we find our LCD, which is 4, least common denominator, which is 4, the smallest number they both go into. Well, 4 is already a 4, so we leave it. 2 times 2 is 4. So we get negative 13 over 4 plus negative 2 over 4. And we know same signs you keep and add the numbers and you keep your denominator. Now that can't be simplified anymore, but we can practice making it into a mixed number. So 4 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. And again, it was negative 15, so we know when we divide and they're opposite signs, we keep it negative. And write our remainder over what's on the outside there. So you can give me negative 15 over 4 or, whoa, negative 3 3/4. All right, so we can skip number 10. I feel like you guys have done enough problems now. Let's do a couple application problems here. The length of a board is 2 5/8 feet long. If 5/6 of a foot is trimmed off, find the new length. Well, we have the length of our board. And if we're trimming it off, we're taking it off, we're going to subtract 5/6. And, well, let's do it. Okay, step 1, changed all your mixed numbers into improper fractions. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 5 is 21 over 8, minus 5/6. Find your LCD. Smallest number that 8 and 6 can both go into. 24. Let's rewrite it. So 8 times 3 gives me 24. So whatever I do to the bottom, oops, I have to do the top as well. So if I multiply the denominator by 3, I have to multiply the numerator by 3. 6 times 4 is 24. If I multiply the denominator by 4, I have to multiply the numerator by 4. All right, so 3 times 21 is 63 over 24. minus 5 times 4, which is 20, over 24. When you subtract them, you subtract the numerator, keep the denominator. So 43 24ths, or let's make that into a mixed number. 24 goes into 43 once. 1 times 24. Okay, if I subtract them here, 19. 1 and 19 24ths, and I can't simplify that anymore. So how much is left? What's the new length? 1 and 19 24ths feet. And last one, during a recent snowstorm, it snowed 6 1/8 inches on the first day and 8 5/12 inches on the second day. Find the total snowfall. So that means we'll take our day 1, add our day 2. Let's see how many inches of snow we got. So let's change all of our mixed numbers into improper fractions. Okay. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 1 is 49. 12 times 8, 96, right? Plus 5, 101 over 12. Then we say to ourselves, the smallest number that 12 and 8 both go into is 24. So 8 times 3 is 24. 12 times 2 is 24. And these you can use a calculator for if you need to. 49 times 3 is 147 over 24, plus 101 times 2, which is 202 over 24. Common denominator is 24. 147 plus 202. Again, you can use a calculator. 349 over 24. Now, I'm going to help you guys change that into a mixed number. 24 goes into 34 once. 1 times 24 is 24. So when I subtract it, bring down the 9. Ooh, okay, 24 goes into 109. 4 times. Again, you can try it. So 24 times 4, 96. 24 times 5 is 120. So it can only go in 4 times. We said that was 96. When I subtract them, I get 15. So it's 14 and 15 24ths, which can be reduced because they're both divisible by 3. 14 and 5/8 inches. I think we were talking about inches, right? Yes, inches. So this, oops, excuse me, equals 14 and 5/8 inches. But you are not incorrect if you left it as 349 over 24, unless I say write it as an improper fraction or a mixed number. All right, guys, nice job sticking with me. I know this was a longer video. I apologize. This is about 10 minutes longer than I like them to be. Come to class with any questions, tips, or tricks that you have, and we'll talk about this on Thursday.